Welcome to the deep dive. When you think about industries that are constantly evolving, maybe fundamentally changing, we often talk about tech, right? But what about something absolutely essential like transportation? Today, we're really digging into how the trucking industry is transforming. Specifically, we're looking at these pretty significant updates coming in 2025. They're centered around electronic logging devices, ELDs, and hours of service, HOS regulations. It's all being driven by the FMCSA. So if you're involved in supply chains, logistics, or even just curious about driver safety, well, this is a deep dive you'll want to tune into. Our goal here is simple. Unpack these key changes, explain why they actually matter to you, and show how they're pushing trucking towards becoming this smarter, safer, more efficient, connected fleet ecosystem.
Exactly. And it's really important to grasp that this isn't just about, checking compliance boxes. We're seeing a real shift where technology isn't just for reporting after the fact. It's becoming a tool for proactive management. It's really about using that data effectively, enhancing efficiency, improving safety across the whole logistics chain, making things more intelligent, more responsive.
That's a really key point, isn't it? Moving beyond just ticking boxes. That seems central here. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Just a quick refresher for anyone who might need it. What is ELD compliance fundamentally? Why is it so crucial?
Right. So at its core, ELD compliance simply means using these specific FMCSA approved devices, electronic logging devices. They automatically record a driver's time behind the wheel. The main purpose, to make sure drivers stick to the hours of service rules, HOS rules. Those rules are really the foundation for preventing tired drivers and, fatigue-related accidents. This all became mandatory back in 2017. It replaced the old paper logs, which, let's be honest, weren't always accurate. But what's really interesting now, I think, is how these devices are evolving beyond just simple logging. The 2025 changes aren't just small tweaks. They're tightening up the standards, introducing smarter features, making compliance, and frankly, fleet management overall much more efficient, more proactive.
Okay, so the foundation's there, replacing paper logs for accuracy. But these 2025 updates, they're doing more with the data itself. You hear this term enhanced data capture. What does that actually mean on the ground?
Yeah, it means a much higher level of detail, a lot more granularity. It really changes how activities get logged and, importantly, how they get shared.
Okay, let's unpack that first big area of change. More frequent location tracking. ELDs now need to grab the vehicle's location every 15 minutes while driving. That's way up from every hour before. What's the direct impact of that?
Well, the immediate impact is much, much better real-time visibility
Mm-hmm.
and accountability. Think about it. A fleet manager needs to find a driver quickly in an emergency, or just verify they're sticking to the route. This kind of granular data, it closes off potential gaps where maybe short breaks weren't logged correctly or non-driving time was fudged. It helps ensure those rest periods are accurate. Tighter compliance, basically. It reduces ambiguity.
Right, makes sense. And how does that connect to these granular duty status logs? Sounds like even more detail about the driver's day.
Exactly. It requires these detailed time-stamped records for every single change in status. On duty, off duty, sleeper berth. It's like creating this unchangeable digital trail of the driver's entire workday. And that level of detail, it's not just for enforcement down the road. It gives fleets a really precise picture of driver activity, how time is being used.
Well,
That lets them optimize schedules better, maybe spot potential fatigue risks much earlier with, real accuracy.
And then there's the transparent edit logs. That sounds pretty crucial for accountability, too.
Oh, absolutely. If a driver needs to make a manual change to their log, maybe correct an error, it now needs a timestamp.
Mm-hmm.
And not just a timestamp, but a clear reason provided by the driver. This makes audits so much easier to trace. If there's an adjustment, everyone can see why, when, and what was changed. It builds trust, really simplifies those roadside checks and formal audits.
Okay, that's definitely more data being captured. But stepping back, what's the bigger picture for how this data gets shared? You mentioned standardization of ELD interoperability. What problem does that solve?
Yeah, if you look at the whole industry, this tackles a really big headache.
Hmm.
Different systems that just don't talk to each other. Data stuck in silos. So the new interoperability rules mean ELDs ain't going to be able to share data smoothly across different carriers, different fleet management systems. Think about a driver changing jobs or a carrier using third-party logistics providers. This is critical. It means their driving record, their history can move with them cleanly, securely.
I can see how that would smooth things out. And building on that, there's a universal export format. How does that simplify life for, say, roadside inspectors?
Think of it like getting all the ELDs to speak the same language, basically. This universal format means data can be exported in a standard way that any enforcement officer system or any fleet system can read easily. No more officers trying to figure out dozens of different proprietary interfaces by the side of the road. It makes those checks way faster, much less prone to error. It really helps break down those data silos we talked about,
Mm.
creates a more unified system.
Okay, so we've got more data, better sharing. Now, this next part seems to really put that data to work proactively. Enhanced HOS violation alerts. How do these help stop problems before they actually happen?
Right, this is a really significant step up for safety, I think. It shifts the whole approach from just reporting violations after they occur
Yeah.
to actively trying to prevent them. It's about intervention.
So what does that look like for a driver or for the folks back at the office?
It means the ELD itself will give real-time warnings, alerts basically, to both the driver and the fleet manager. Warnings about potential HOS violations before the driver actually goes over their hours. And it's not just a beep in the cab. These alerts are integrated into the main fleet software. So you can have automated notifications that trigger, say, a dispatcher or a safety manager to reach out. And here's something really interesting. If there are repeated potential violations, the system could even prompt automated retraining modules for the driver. It's like real-time coaching based on actual behavior. It's building this adaptive safety net.
Wow, that's quite a shift. Proactive safety, real-time coaching. And it leads to thinking about the ELD devices themselves. Accountability there, too. I understand the FMCSA has actually delisted some devices because they don't meet these new, tougher standards.
Yes, that's right. This brings up the whole issue of trust and accountability in the tools themselves. The FMCSA has been pretty proactive, actually. They've removed several ELD models from their approved list. Why? Because they failed to meet the 2025 requirements for things like accuracy, reliability, even cybersecurity. So, for fleets using one of those revoked devices, the message is clear. You have to switch. You need to move to an FMCSA certified alternative by Q4 2025. And for anyone listening who's wondering, you can always find the latest official list of certified ELDs on the FMCSA website. It's crucial the devices are reliable.
Okay, so we've covered the devices, the data, the alerts. Now let's shift focus a bit. What about the drivers, their day-to-day experience? There are some new HOS proposals out there too, right? Aimed at maybe giving drivers a bit more flexibility while still keeping things safe.
Yes, exactly. These proposals are really interesting because they seem to be a direct response to feedback from drivers, from carriers. They're trying to find that balance between the strict safety rules and just the practical realities of being out on the road, trying to make the rules work a bit better for the person behind the wheel.
Let's get into some specifics then. First, this split sleeper berth provision. How does that give drivers more options than before?
This is a pretty big one for flexibility. It lets drivers split their required 10-hour off-duty period into two chunks. One chunk has to be at least 7 hours, the other at least 2 hours. And critically, neither of those periods counts against their 14-hour driving window limit. So imagine you could take like a strategic longer break or nap during a long haul without it messing up your whole clock for the day. For drivers, this could be a real game changer. Finding safe parking when needed, dealing with unexpected delays like bad traffic or weather, without hitting that hard 14-hour limit quite so rigidly.
Yeah, that sounds much more adaptable to real life on the road. What about flexible break times? How does that work?
This one allows drivers to take breaks anywhere from 30 minutes up to 3 hours that actually pause their 14-hour on-duty clock. The key is it has to be followed eventually by a full 10-hour rest period. But this is potentially huge. It means drivers can manage fatigue better, maybe take a longer break if they need it for, I don't know, an appointment or just to rest properly. It gives them more control to shape their day around their needs, not just racing the clock.
And then there's an extended adverse conditions allowance. Sounds like acknowledging that sometimes things just go wrong out there.
Absolutely. It's a nod to the unpredictable nature of driving. Under this proposal, drivers could add up to 4 extra hours of driving time if they hit genuinely adverse conditions. That's up from the current 2 hours. So a sudden blizzard, a major highway closure causing huge delays, drivers would have more breathing room, more time to reach a safe place to stop, instead of feeling pressured to push through dangerous conditions or pull over somewhere unsafe just to avoid a violation. It's pragmatic.
Makes sense. And finally, for the local folks, an expanded short-haul exemption.
Yeah, this increases the radius for the short-haul exemption from 100 air miles up to 150 air miles. What that means is more local and regional delivery operations might become exempt from needing ELDs altogether. It reduces the paperwork and compliance burden for those shorter trips, where maybe long-haul fatigue isn't as big a factor. So yeah, these proposals taken together, they really try to strike that balance. More practical flexibility for drivers, hopefully without compromising safety.
Okay, we've gone through a lot of detail. The tech, the data, the rules, the proposals. Let's pull back to the big picture. Why should you, listening right now, care about all these technical updates in trucking? It's clearly more than just, avoiding a fine.
Well, absolutely. It's really about a fundamental shift in how this vital industry operates. For the fleets themselves, the benefits are pretty wide-ranging. It creates a safer, more accountable, and frankly, more efficient operation. Safety is the big one, obviously. Better real-time monitoring, better tracking of hours. It directly attacks the risk of fatigue-related accidents. That's huge. Then there's accountability. All that detailed, transparent data, the interoperability, it makes audits easier, cleaner. It should reduce violations.
So fewer headaches during inspections, potentially.
Exactly. And thinking about efficiency, those real-time alerts, the way this data can integrate with other fleet software, it enables proactive management. You're not just reacting to problems after they happen. You're potentially seeing them coming, supporting drivers better. And yeah, of course, there are cost savings. Avoiding those big fines up to $16,000 per violation, potentially, fewer trucks being put out of service, less administrative hassle dealing with compliance paperwork. But maybe the biggest reason, looking ahead, is future-proofing. This whole move towards connected fleets, it embraces IoT, telematics, even AI down the line. It's setting the stage for truly predictive maintenance, maybe. Imagine ELDs flagging potential engine trouble before it strands a driver. That's the direction things are heading.
That is a powerful vision, predictive maintenance, AI really connecting the fleet. So given all that, what are the practical steps fleets should be taking right now to get ready for 2025?
Sure.
How can they make sure they're compliant, but also actually capture this connected fleet advantage you're talking about?
Yeah, there are definitely concrete actions to take, ideally sooner rather than later. First off, audit your current ELD devices. Check with your provider. Are they certified under the new 2025 rules? Do they support the enhanced data capture, the wireless transfer requirements? Second, training. This is crucial. Train your drivers, train your dispatchers, make sure they understand the new logging rules, any changes to personal conveyance, how those new alert systems work. You need buy-in and understanding from the people using the tech every day.
Absolutely. The human element is key.
Totally. Third, think about interoperability. Invest in solutions if you need to. Make sure your ELDs and your main fleet management systems can handle those universal data formats, can share data seamlessly. Especially important if you use leased trucks or work with third parties. Fourth, integration. Look at integrating your ELD data with other systems you might have. Telematics, dash cams, vehicle health monitoring. Get that holistic view. And finally, just stay informed. Keep an eye on FMCSA announcements. Adjust your internal policies ahead of the deadlines. Especially watch for any updates on device certifications or revocations.
Right. So what we're really describing here is this connected fleet advantage. It's not just about the ELD in isolation. It's part of a bigger IoT ecosystem. It means, like you said, real-time HOS monitoring, managers having live visibility, being able to intervene proactively, plan loads smarter. It also means data-driven safety management. Using all that detailed driving behavior data for targeted coaching, maybe even predicting who's at higher risk of a violation, making safety proactive. And then there's compliance as a service cases, automated dashboards, tracking compliance constantly, generating audit reports instantly, sending notifications. It changes compliance from this periodic burden into just a continuous intelligent background process.
Exactly. These 2025 ELD updates, the HOS proposals, they really do represent a transformative moment for trucking. For the companies that really lean into these changes, compliance stops being just a necessary evil. It becomes the foundation for smarter, real-time fleet management. It's about driving toward a future where technology genuinely makes the roads safer for everyone and makes the whole supply chain run smoother.
That's a compelling picture of where things are headed. And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As we see these kinds of regulatory changes and tech integrations really taking hold in trucking, how might this set a pattern? Could we see similar pushes in other industries driving safety and efficiency in ways we haven't even fully imagined yet? Something to think about.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of trucking.